Hey everybody, Ty here. Hope everyone is doing well. So, I mentioned it in the last video that I'm out of town. So, I shot this one in advance, and this one is covering a topic that we promised we would discuss, and that is the MJO. The MJO is actually a crucial factor to a lot of our weather really across the world, but in particular since most of you guys are from the US that watch the videos, we're going to mainly focus on the lower 48. If anyone wants me to talk about their area in the future, just let me know in the comments if you're in another country. But let's get into just what the MJO is, its origins, and what exactly it does. And of course, we'll start with the acronym. The MJO is the Madden-Julian oscillations. This is named after two doctors that discovered said oscillation in the early 1970s, Dr. Roland Madden and Dr. Paul Julian. They found this area over our Enzo region, interestingly enough, when they were studying tropical wind and pressure patterns. Now, I know what some of you that are a little bit more knowledgeable of weather are thinking. So, we have another oscillation over another oscillation. The southern oscillation, our Enzo region. Okay, so this area, so basically we have two oscillations just basically sitting over each other. And because the Enzo is stationary, I would technically be inclined to agree with you, except the MJO is not stationary at all. In fact, it's very active. It's moving pretty often. In fact, it traverses the world around the equator from its initial starting point and back again every 1 to 2 months. So it's actually pretty active. And this is why the MJO is honestly talked about just as much, if not more, in the weather community, more so than anything else. But it also kind of works in conjunction with the Enzo too. So the Enzo usually talks more about sea surface temperatures, whereas the MJO, we're focusing more on moisture, actually, in this case. And this moisture actually can enhance activity within the tropics. It can also enhance winter storm development too. Of course, that depends on the time of year and, of course, other variables. But, and it's interesting that in studying this, I kind of noticed a little bit of a change here, which we'll talk about later in this video, with the MJO's recent movement and a little bit of an increase in not necessarily tropical, well, it is an increase in tropical activity, but it's nothing necessarily to be concerned about. But I've noticed increased convection over the Atlantic. And like I said, we'll get into that in just a little bit, though. But unlike Enzo, the MJO moves east pretty consistently every 30 to 60 days. So once it's established, there's two phases that come into play here, and multiple events can end up occurring within a season. So it's an intraseasonal tropical climate variability, and it can change on a week-to-week basis. So if you've been watching my videos for a while, I'm pretty sure you know which model I'm going to use to kind of show you how this feature ends up moving as we go forward. But anyway, the two phases that I was just talking about when it comes to the MJO, there is an enhanced rainfall phase or convective phase, and then there is a suppressed rainfall phase. It's pretty self-explanatory as to how that works, really. And you can see the phases here. This would be what you would consider as more of a suppressed rainfall phase here. It's represented by the areas in the brown here. That's drier air. These areas in the green are more moist. We start to lean more into that convective phase by the time we get towards phase 2, phase 3, and we continue to see that begin to move off to the east going forward. And you can see little bits of that going into eastern and western parts of the Atlantic, then heading back in towards the Pacific and Indian Oceans as well going forward. And this is where things really can get interesting in regards to both the tropics and both our winter weather season here. The timing of this is really the key factor that comes into play here. because I do remember vaguely, especially in the earlier years when I was first starting to study the weather, where I would hear about the MJO and I'd never really be able to piece together. I always would mix it up with info myself. But looking at this region here, it makes so much sense as to why we would see increased activity, because the amount of moisture available combined with the jet stream, especially the subtropical jet that usually pops up around the southern half of the US, can increase our chances for winter storm activity, depending on where we end up seeing our troughs and ridges form, etc., low pressures. But this helps create the increased probability of low pressures beginning to form around here, and as a result, get those bigger winter storms at times, and sometimes even those southern winter storms. It's never a guarantee with this. Like I said, this isn't the only factor that comes into play with this, but it is always one of the signals that you should be looking for. So here's a closer look, and we'll actually see it in motion, just for anyone that doesn't really want to see any stationary feature here. You can kind of see what's going on here. And this is showing the potential for precipitation. This was shown all the way back in 2005. You can see how we were in a suppressed rainfall phase, and then as we go further along, here is that enhanced rainfall phase, or the convective phase, coming into play from this time frame from March all the way into June. So pretty interesting stuff there. So behind this pattern, the characteristics are pretty much your classic weather stuff, classic weather info here. Lower level convergence here, upper level divergence here, or basically you have winds coming together at the lower levels of the atmosphere. You get an upward motion. This upward motion creates showers and thunderstorms. Then we get the opposite with the other phase, with the suppressed phase. We end up seeing convergence in the upper levels, divergence at the lower levels. Basically, this creates sunny, dry conditions, stable weather. So sometimes, depending on the other variables, we can get a pretty good idea of what's going on just simply based off of the MJO sometimes. Like I said, it's not always going to be the root cause of everything, but it is a big influencing factor. It's not always the primary, though. So now that we've kind of gone into the basics with the MJO, let's actually look at it at a diagram. And this is actually looking at current time here. So this is our precip anomaly here. And this is kind of a rough idea of what we have going on here. And it's interesting to make note that these areas right here, if we look over here towards the Southern Caribbean right here, we're dealing with a little bit more along the lines of that convective phase popping up over here. And if I were to go and pull up the satellite here, if you give me just a second, if I were to go and look at the satellite here, what you'll come to find is that we would end up seeing increased activity over here around this part of the Caribbean. And if you match it with this map here, you kind of see where I'm getting at now, do you? You see more and more storm development popping up over here. And then right over here towards the southern part of the West African area, towards the main development region, look at that. You're seeing that too. If you look over towards the East Pacific, over towards where Hawaii is, just off to the south and east, you can see that enhanced activity over here as well. Ironic, isn't it? I don't think so. I think that's MJO right there. But if we go ahead and move this forward, watch what happens. We continue to see a little bit of increased activity over here. And if you saw the last tropical outlook, you would notice that there's actually a few opportunities where low pressures could develop over here. And this kind of ties into what I was talking about earlier with the MJO having the potential. Again, it's not a guarantee, but it has the potential to help enhance tropical activity. Now, as we go further along here, you'll notice a little bit of a change. We start to go right back to that dry phase again over towards the main development region as a whole. So this could slow things down for a brief period, and then after a while the MJO comes back into play, this time a little bit further up towards the northern Caribbean here. So that eastward movement begins to change things just a little bit. Now, of course, there are other influences when it comes to tropical development, such as wind shear. Saharan dust also becomes a factor, but the MJO can kind of help counteract just a little bit of that. But usually the ridges and the high pressure areas that end up popping up over here towards the North Atlantic are a just as big of an influencing factor. But simply put, though, the MJO is going to be a feature that we're going to try to implement more in our tropical outlooks and also with our winter weather forecast in the future too. So I figure this time, since I don't always get to be ahead of the curve here, I'm going to try to break this one down for you guys so that way you're on the same page with me in the future. So any of you that have watched all the way to the end especially, I appreciate you guys, and I will see you probably on Sunday. We'll see what Monday has to offer. If not, definitely we'll see you on Monday. And of course, we'll probably rehash everything that's going on with the upcoming heat wave here. Until then, stay cool and have a wonderful rest of your weekend.